Hello, today. Welcome to the Lowdown Truth. Blessings in Jesus. Hope this finds you well. Going live today. And I started out on the gravel road, soon to be on the smooth road. I wanted to give some thoughts about the Plandemic 3, The Great Awakening film by Mickey Willis. I watched that last night. It was promoted by Del Bigtree and On the High Wire, which I listened to on Spreaker. And I've been listening to him for a few years now. He's been one of those voices of reason through the pandemic. He's not a Christian. As far as I can tell, I don't think he claims to be a Christian, even though I think he was raised as a Christian. Also, Mickey Willis, the movie or the film, The Great Awakening, is not from a Christian perspective, but it does speak the truth, which is Jesus Christ is the truth. So it sheds light upon the darkness, and therefore it does have, that the spirit of truth is there. It's just not giving that perspective, which I think is more in depth of an understanding when you bring in the biblical understanding of what's going on, which is what I do here on the Lowdown Truth as a historicist, as somebody who believes in the Holy Bible and its inspired versions, the King James 1611 authorized version, or the Textus Receptus majority text. Now the Plandemic film is pretty moving. I mean, it's a moving film. It's really done well. He's a very talented filmmaker. It's interesting that even just in 2016 he was supporting Bernie Sanders with his filmmaking, and that's what he shows in the film, and how he's come from that socialist view all the way to this exposing it for what it is. And the wake-up call for him was the scandemic, the plandemic that, happened, which has woken up quite a few people. Unfortunately for some, it's, they didn't get woken up until they took the prescribed solution, and that's unfortunate, but it's never too late for us to wake up and to come to the truth, because life is not worth living without it. I really thought it was interesting when he showed how China has been, how China has dealt with the pandemic and their cultural revolution with Mao and in the 50s, and how that was patterned after the Bolsheviks and Stalin and Lenin, and then how that came from Karl Marx. who was a Satanist, although I don't think they said that in the movie, but they did expose him to be, you know, for what he was, which was a lazy, you know, cowardly man that lived off of other people's money and didn't provide for his family or anything. He's really like the worst of the worst type of person. But, and you know how the Black Lives Matter organization is actually a Marxist organization founded by people that were trained and believe in Marxism. It's really a brainwashing, mind control. The people that believe in Marxism or communism, they're in a cult. It's like a brainwashing collective that believes in a certain religion of the state. You know, that's the main aspect of it. It's like a new religion that believes in the state as God. And that's really what they have brought to America in the young people that believe in the state as a religion. They worship and believe in the state. They do rituals and like dancing on TikTok and, you know, taking tests and believing in mythological viruses, and there's a lot of different tenets to this new religion. And I will say that it even involves a bastardized version of Christianity, which is not Christianity, but universalism. And that is the meaning of the word Catholic, is universal. So in a sense, we have a universal religion, i.e. Mystery Babylon, i.e. Catholicism, and it's here, and it's, you know, in word it's called Christianity or evangelicalism or Protestantism, but in truth it really is another Jesus, and it's not what the Bible, it's not the faith of Jesus Christ. It's not the real Jesus Christ. It's a in word only. But, you know, to see, you know, how they're treating the Chinese people with the social credit score and this totalitarian mindset is what they want to bring here, you know, to the Western countries. The collectivist, you know, versus the individual society and the mindset, you know, that's really what at the heart of the matter, that's what the Great Awakening was showing, was that it really comes down to this ideology of government, which is collectivism versus individualism. And as somebody that is a staunch individualist, I wholeheartedly abhor the collectivist mindset as, you know, I don't know. I guess I won't, instead of calling names or whatever, I understand that it sounds good, and there are certain aspects of it that can be positive. But as for like a government that is, you want to be balanced and fair and not tyrannical, you have to have, I mean, in order to have freedom, there is no freedom with collectivism, not with the people that have all the money, and that not with the ruling elite that we have. See, that's the whole problem with the theory, the political theory, and is that it's all based upon this idealistic view that there's not a conspiratorial agenda. There's not a nefarious agenda that is being perpetrated by the people that are in charge of our governments and money system and media. And so it's really the whole premises of political science or sociology and all the foundational theories of the basis of our society and government and culture really are flawed, because they don't take into account the biblical mindset that is real, the reality of it, which is that Satan is the prince of the power of the air, and he rules this world. And that is something that people cannot, this secular mindset that they've propagated through this agenda, because the secular mindset is really a communist mindset. It takes away religion. So supposedly, it actually institutes a religion, like I said, of statism or communism, and replaces all other religions that promote freedom, and especially Christianity, which doesn't allow for wicked rulers to do evil so that good may come of it, which is what the Jesuits and the Seeker Society and the Workers of Iniquity, working for Satan and the Antichrist papacy, that's what they are. That's their main motto, is let us do evil that good may come of it. They think somehow that they're going to do evil and that they're going to get to a desired result that's good for them. But they're deceived. Ultimately, the very small percentage of people that are conscious of perpetuating this nefarious, wicked agenda, they're deceived. They're basically insane, like the Rothschilds and the Rockefellers and the people that they work for, which is the Antichrist papacy and all the bloodlines of the Illuminati, and beyond that, the whoever the Antichrist is given power to or is working with, the satanic bloodlines. But you can see that, watching something like that film, it does, and then you look at America and what we're doing, and how the youth are being used to go against their parents, and you can really see that we are hanging by a thread of freedom that is essentially being protected by our ability to bear arms, the Second Amendment. But ultimately by God and His grace. And you just wonder how long that's going to last. It is true that these type of collectivist totalitarian systems, they do implode on their own without any help, because they don't work economically or socially or culturally. They don't work. That's the whole part of it that is like, that frustrates us that understand what's going on, is because all these useful idiots out there that are brainwashed into this ideology, they don't understand that, they're, what they believe and what they're trying to achieve is like self-destruction. It's like watching somebody in your family that is self-destructive, and they just keep going on in this cycle, and no matter what you do, you can't snap them out of it, because they're just determined to do it their way, and they're brainwashed and mind controlled. And so you have to watch them basically destroy themselves, and then hopefully by God's grace they can, when they're down at the bottom or in jail or whatever, then they can finally figure it out. Some people never do. I mean, it's like Lenin. He ended up, crazy. Like his mind, he went insane, and like he was anyway. But it just manifested when he was older, and he was like crazy as a cuckoo bird up in the insane asylum, and he died like a crazy, cowardly idiot, like he was. It just manifested. And Trotsky was murdered, and Stalin, that guy was a piece of work, piece of crap, as Mao was, and they're all dead now and receiving the recompense of their works. Everybody will pay for what they've done. It's not going to be pretty. But those are the people that the state, those are the prophets of the state. Those are the leaders of the brainwashed youth, or at least that's what the state wants them to believe. Hitler was also a collectivist, but I would say that his collectivism was a different type. It was much more effective than Stalin's. It wasn't. You still couldn't really disagree with him, but it's like only people that were really communist were disagreeing. So that's kind of what they don't tell you. That's what was going on during that time, was communism was trying to take over Germany, and Bolshevik communism, and Hitler didn't want it to happen. So I'm not really sure, I don't think you can really compare that to Stalin, but overall it was evil, because it was somebody trying to solve the problem in their own will, their own flesh, and without God, really. He was used, and as the others were used to perpetuate evil, war, and so I think that's what we're going to be used for the same way. The rulers the elite rulers, they know that communism doesn't work, and it actually weakens a country, economically and militarily. It's very inefficient. So if they're going to try to use if they're going to try to use America to rule the world, and they're going to have to this communism is not going to take hold. It's going to be more of a fascist type of system. So what I've been talking about is that these are the signs, the perception that our country is being taken over by communists, which it is. That's the perception and that's the reality. But they're letting us see it, and they know that they're not going to be able to take everybody's guns away without a fight. So instead of trying to strong arm us, and basically, like I said, destroy the strength of our country, because all the conservative people are the ones that make our country strong. They're the ones that fight and have their guns, and instead of destroying that part of our country in order to take us over, I think they're going to try to leverage that and use that to control the world, and then ultimately to bring destruction and control over our country in the end, after they use us for defending the state that they created, Israel. So watching that film, The Great Awakening, you would think, this is what's happening in America, and we are going to be taken over and turned into a collectivist, globalist, communist society, which is what is happening, and it also is, the perception of what's happening. And that is what basically every watchman and truth teller is seeing. And I don't argue with it. But what I'm saying is that it doesn't suit the needs of the Jesuits and the Antichrist and the secret societies and the central bankers, the Zionists, to destroy us and take us over in that fashion, by taking away our guns, by collapsing the dollar, by the Bolshevik Maoist type of revolution is not really what is advantageous for the New World Order. In my opinion, we were created as a counter-Reformation project, and the fulfillment of that project is to play out a scenario in the world that would create this one world system. And the one world system is going to be the result is going to be subsequent to the final war, the World War III, which is going to be used in conjunction with the futurist prophetic play that they're going to play out, which involves Israel. Israel, and then that's where World War III is going to generate, with China and Russia versus the West, and the Iran and versus the Western countries. And in order to get us prepared for that fight, they have to have a right-wing backlash, a fascist type of theocracy that is going to align the people with their goals and aims. It's going to leverage and garner the strength of the conservative Christians in a universal sense. The Catholics, the evangelicals, the universal, basically it's a false church. And it's this, what I'm talking about is this this other Jesus that they're creating, this other religion, theocracy, in order to that's going to be established in order to combat the socialist, communist forces that we're seeing. See, basically, they know it's going to be exposed. They know that it's being unveiled, what's happened. And that's okay because they've already done the damage with their, they've already done the damage with the shot. So now they can let it be exposed. And then they can let the right wing come in and take over, create a theocracy in order to combat the cultural, social forces of communism, which include the destruction of family, the destruction of freedom, destruction of private property, all these biblical values that we have. So I just thought I'd add that to those are my thoughts on The Great Awakening by Miki Willis. I thought it was really well done, and it's a great film, and I think it's good to understand these things. People do need to be aware and not be deceived either way. But those are my thoughts this morning. God bless you, and we'll talk later in Jesus' name.